the essence of a Roth IRA conversion, what you're really doing is you are taking a chunk of your traditional retirement plan, whether it's an IRA or a 401k or a 403b or a 457 or a SEP or a KEO. What all those plans have in common is that either you or an employer contributed money to a retirement plan, and you either didn't pay tax on the money if it came from an employer, or if you actually contributed to yourself, you actually got a tax deduction. And then that money grow, and many of you, I assume everybody here has at least some IRA or retirement type dollars. You don't pay tax on that money while it continues to grow and accumulate, but at some point, maybe you, maybe your wife, maybe your kids, maybe your grandkids, at some point, somebody is going to withdraw that money. And since no one has yet paid tax on it, the person who has to withdraw it is going to have to pay income tax. And that's the traditional IRAs. With the Roth IRAs, what you're doing is you're putting money in that you don't get a tax deduction for, but it grows income tax free. And what a Roth IRA conversion is when you take some traditional IRA or retirement plan money, you pay tax on it ahead of time. Now think about that. You don't have to write a check to the IRS, but I'm going to recommend that you do write a check to the IRS. I have a huge burden of proof before I could convince anybody to voluntarily write a check to the IRS that you don't have to. But I have, all the top IRA guys have, and I'm hoping after today that you will too. One way to think of it, if you like to think in terms of allegory, if you will, is if you are a farmer and you had a choice that if you could deduct the cost of the seed, but then you have to pay tax on the harvest when it comes in. And in future years, that same seed is going to work for future years. You continue to have to pay tax on the harvest. Compare that to a farmer who has to pay tax on the seed, in other words, can't deduct it, has to pay tax on it, but when the harvest comes in, the harvest they reap income tax free, again, in the case of a Roth IRA, for the rest of your life, your spouse's life, and the lives of your children and your grandchildren.